Hello, everybody. Um, so I'm going to address the elephant in the room right off the bat. It is quite a bit into March. You thought I was going to mention the wig. I'm going to do that too. But um, mental health is difficult sometimes. There we go. That's a little better. No, that's too low. That's creepy. That's some Megan is missing stuff. All right, there we go. All right. So it's been a really tough month. Um, I've vented in certain places, like on the Discord server, and I have talked on Twitter about it a little bit, but suffice to say, reading was not prioritized this last month. So, I just finished my February book 2 days ago on March 9th, which isn't terrible considering, but not great, you know? So I do want to talk about my book, and I want to talk about the challenge, and I want to talk about how actually I was not alone in not being able to finish my book in February. I think a lot of people had trouble with that. So, just a refresher, because it's been longer than it should have been. For February, the theme was monk, and the challenge was a book set in Asia or an Asian inspired world. I read last night at the Telegraph Club. And it was +2 for an Asian writer. And this is written by Melinda Lowe, who is, of Asian descent. So I actually really liked this book once it got rolling. I did vent a few times on Discord, specifically at the very beginning when I thought I knew where the book was going, which you should never do. You should never assume you know exactly where the book was going, but for the first 2 or 3 chapters, I really thought it was going a certain way where the two would get together early on, based on the book blurb. And there will be spoilers for last night at the Telegraph Club, by the way. So early on, the thing that I was frustrated was how easy it was for our main character to find another lesbian who completely kind of knew what she was about, but it turns out I was wrong about that. But the main character's name is Lily. She lives in Chinatown, which is how this connects to the plot. I mean, Chinatown, obviously Asian inspired, and the year is, at the beginning of the book, there's actually a really clever, helpful timeline at the beginning of certain chapters. So the majority of the book takes place in the 1950s. And Lily gets really interested in a male performer, a male impersonator, that's the word, which is a very strange continuity in a lot of lesbian historical fiction. And I think that's probably because that's the most notable way women kind of discovered their preference for other women, was when it was kind of passively encouraged through male impersonation. But anyway, and that bonds her with another student in her school when she just so happens to drop the page that she said she would never bring to school at school. And that was the part where I was like, all right, that's a lot of coincidences in a row. Is this whole book going to be coincidences? And yeah, but no. I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but I do want to give my thoughts. I felt like the ending, specifically for me, was, here's what I want in my gay fiction in general, especially historical fiction, which I love. What I want is for most of my angst to be at the beginning. The character dealing with their family, coming out, dealing with their own emotions, figuring out their love life. I want all of that at the beginning of the book, because I don't like when it's just ignored. I don't like when people, unless you're setting it in an alternate reality, which I've had plenty of books do that, and I'm totally fine with that. But like, if you're gonna stick with realism and like tackling things like homophobia, and in this case racism as well, I kind of want the angst at the beginning and then to move into a happy ending. That's what I like in my historical gay fiction, that very narrow genre base. And I feel like last night the Telegraph Club switched that around, where at the beginning everything's kind of fine, mostly because the main character's hiding a lot in her life. And then at the end, especially in the last few chapters, it all kind of hits a crescendo. Everything goes wrong. But then we just do a time skip and everything's kind of dealt with, which I felt like was a little too easy and also rushed. One of the things I felt wasn't handled super well in this book was the racism aspect. I understand I am not Chinese, so like I'm not trying to speak over anyone. I just felt like it was touched upon, flirted with, and then kind of pushed to the background, which might be realistic for this character's life. But if you're gonna try to tackle that subject, I think it needs to be tackled, and especially at the very end. I don't want to spoil it, but there's something in the timeline that should have been a very big deal that isn't addressed in the narrative at all. And that was very strange. Was like, okay, that was like super in the background of this character's life, I guess, even though it really should have affected her. Anyway, as a whole, I really liked the romance in this book. I felt like it was really interesting to explore. I actually just noticed the two girls on the cover. It was really interesting to explore Kath's relationship with Lily, or Lily's relationship with Kath, because it is all told through Lily's point of view. I think Kath as a character really interested me because it was fun to see the rank up of a butch lesbian living in the 1950s, where like they talk about how I thought at first that Kath was going to have the whole lesbian thing figured out and just teach Lily how to be lesbians in the 1950s, but that isn't it. Both Lily and Kath are discovering their sexuality and their gender expression through the plot, which I thought was super interesting because Lily, for herself, does not seem to want to wear men's clothing. She wants to date women who present more masculine, while Kath is exploring her gender expression by cutting her hair shorter and styling it certain ways and wearing trousers. And I like that both sides of the gender expression within the lesbian community was kind of explored through that. As they grew closer, like, it was just really cute. Anyway, I don't want to talk about this book for too long. I do encourage you to read it yourself. Tell me what you think. I really did like it. It because I'm harping on like my few pet peeves, it sounds like I didn't like this book. I really did. I just felt like the ending was a little rushed, and it was kind of the opposite of what I usually would like in my, again, gay historical realistic fiction, which is a very narrow thing, and I demand a very certain plot element. I could read the same stories over and over, just told to me with different main character names. Like, I'm easy, so it's really easy to push my buttons. This book did in a lot of ways. It's just, I really wish the angst had been at the beginning, because I feel like it was a downer ending, and like everything was kind of rushed, and I could talk forever about the best friend character. I felt like I wish that had gone a different way, but I understand my wishes do not dictate what should happen in the book, you know? Anyway, before we get into talking about what other people thought of their books, and Rob, I'm sorry, I cannot read your entire thing. I know you said that was fine, but wow, you had a lot of thoughts. Anyway, I was just looking at it again, like, I don't know how I'm going to tackle so much, but for next month, the challenge is Druid, a book with an animal protagonist. I know normally I put up the cool things, but I just want to get this out to you guys. Like I said, it's been a really bad mental health month, and I just want to not give up on this concept. So, like, I'm sorry this isn't as well done as usual. I love you guys. Druid, a book with an animal protagonist. +2 for a non-mammalian animal protagonist. It would have been helpful if I had done this earlier in the month. So I think I might give you guys April's at the end of this as well, just because March is already almost halfway over when this video comes out. So I'm going to tell you what my book is. I just need something nice. So I'm reading The Complete Cheese Sweet Home, Part 1, which is just 4 panels of nonsense. It's very thick, but it's obviously just like a cutesy little manga. If you guys have ever seen the anime, it's adorable. The theme song is one of my favorite theme songs in all of anime, specifically Cheese New Home. Anyway, so obviously it looks thick. It looks like it's going to take a while. I'm already like a fourth of the way through it, and I read it one night. So it's going to be really fast and silly And I'm probably not going to have a lot to say about it because it's for children. But I just wanted something light that I knew I could get through in a month, or half a month, obviously, and that would just make me smile. And it is making me smile. So that's what we're doing this month. Obviously, the main character is Chi. She is a mammal, so I believe she's a girl. It barely comes up in the book. Whatever. Chi is adorable, just a little kitten. And I was so excited to not have a downer book, but I forgot, because this is Chi's sweet home, not Chi's new home, that the whole beginning is about Chi getting lost and, like, trying to find their mom. I'm just gonna go with they, non-binary icon, Chi. Anyway, I just needed a break from heavy stuff. Not that Last Night Telegraph Club made me that sad. It wasn't that book that was the problem this last month. Just like, do some self-care. Read about cats. All right, before we, again, read into the things, I am going to give April's, because I feel like if I can't put these out in regular manner, I do want to give you guys the +2 in time for you guys to be able to find the thing for the +2. So, April is Sorcerer, and the challenge is to read a book with the word magic in the title. So it doesn't actually technically have to be a magical book, as long as the word magic is in the title, or magical, or magics, or, some crossover with the word magic. And it's +2 if within the book there is a unique magical system. And I would say unique, that basically means if there is magic in the book. I say unique magical system, but I don't mean like, oh, it has to have its own set of rules, like, got Elseworld or something like that. It just needs magic within the book. So basically, you can read a book that has magic in the title with no magic, and it's fine. But if there is magic, you get that +2. And the points don't matter. So it's really just nonsense. All right, I do want to read a few comments from people. So, Rob read a book called Redeemer from The Way of the Tiger series. Back in the late 80s, game books were at their height. The most popular was a series called Fighting Fantasy. A less popular series was The Way of the Tiger, where you played a ninja named Avenger in the world of Orb. Orb as a whole is not an Asian-inspired setting, but large bits of it are. Ninjas and samurais are common features. Then Rob goes into an entire summary of everything leading up to the book 7 of the series, which would be Redeemer, or maybe book 8. And he explains why it's maybe book 8 for a while. He said that the book did not live up to his expectations. It was nice to get a conclusion to a series that he adored as a child, but it's kind of a weak rehash of aspects of other books, which is unfortunate. After defeating the greatest villains the world has to offer and escaping a god, this is not a particularly exciting foe to face at the very end. That's unfortunate, and there's too much duo ex machina involved, including literally being saved by your god when things look their bleakest, and a previously unmentioned cousin appearing to show you a secret passage into the tunnel that only she knew about. You know, it's weird. Another book I was reading, another gay fictional book, another gay historical fictional book, but this one taking place in an alternate reality, also had a secret cousin revealed at the end that solved everyone's problems. Weird. Anyway, so the Asian aspects. The series as a whole embraces Eastern monk, ninja, and samurai stereotypes without embracing racial stereotypes. That's nice. Which is good, because what was worrying to me in revisiting a series from the late 1980s, I can imagine. I actually wish there had been more time spent on the Asian influence settings in the world. The Isle of Tranquil Dreams, where your original monastery home is, for example. But one of the things I like about the books is that the influence of the monks, samurai, and ninjas percolates into the more standard D&D tropes. Sorry about Pippin, Tippin, Tappin You hear someone in the kitchen. I wish it had been better closure, but I still have fond memories of the original books, and the final entry doesn't ruin anything, but neither does it deliver on 25 years of nostalgic anticipation, which would probably have been impossible. It's too much of a nostalgia piece, and if I wanted nostalgia, well, the original books still sit on my shelf, tattered as they now are. Well, I'm glad you were able to revisit something you really liked as a child. I actually have a book on my shelf that I remember reading as a kid, and it freaked me out. It's kind of a horror mystery murder setup with living dolls in the attic. It's very creepy, and I want to reread it, and part of me is like, but what if it sucks now? I liked it so much when I was little. Let's see, did anyone else manage to finish their books? I know a lot of people were not able to finish their books this month. I don't know what it was about February. We all agreed it was the fact that it was 5 days shorter, or 3 days shorter than most months. That's why we all finished our books in mid-March. People recommended Redwall, which is a great recommendation for the Druid prompt. Let's see. Ashley finished her book for February. She said, it was a very interesting book, but not my usual fare. Pretty bleak ending, too. And then Chick-fil-A Death Fries, or now Legal Adult Chick-fil-A Death Fries, said, I'm getting close to the end of mine. It's definitely not as good as the first book in the series. Not bad, but not too great. And they got an Audible subscription to listen to the rest of it. So that's good. I'm considering getting an Audible subscription sometime this year. They had sent me an email that was like, oh, only $10 a month for the first 2 months. And I was like, oh, sweet. And then I saved that email for too long and it expired. So, oh well, I do want to get back into Audible. But I have so many books on there that don't fit any of the prompts I made, which is poor thinking on my part, because I got to make up these prompts. Why didn't I make them apply to my backlog? I was too focused on making them fun. But I have a lot of Audible in my backlog that I don't want to pay for the monthly subscription until I'm done with, but they don't fit the prompts, so I'm reading them on the side, and I also have to catch up on a bunch of podcasts. It's just my life is really hard, guys. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for me for the month of March. I will clue you in on all the secrets of Cheese Sweet Home next month. I'm sure I'll have some ground-shaking opinions, like the cat is cute, and I like the theme song of the anime. And more of that. I'll also have to find a book with magic in the title, because I don't have anything prepared yet. And I will see you all at the beginning of April, hopefully, if I'm able to finish a picture book in time. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching this and encouraging me to continue to read when sometimes it's a little tough. Oh, by the way, this is a new wig. Do you like it? It's also a new shirt. I really wanted everyone to see my new shirt. I watched House. It was really good. Anyway, all right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.